Our story begins as our heroes arrive by carriage at the impressive hilltop manor of Lady Jamandi Aldori. They have answered a call for heroes to help settle the stolen lands. Lady Aldori, a wealthy and influential sword lord of the city of Restov in southern Brevoy, promises a great and perilous opportunity to claim an equally heroic reward. This call has reached the ears of many mercenaries and would-be heroes as rumors have spread that Lady Aldori plans on rewarding land and title to those who are worthy to claim it. Many tournaments and trials were set up throughout Brevoy. Those chosen were gifted an invite to her manor. A cobblestone path bordered by regal oak trees and well-manicured hedges winds its way up the hill for nearly a mile, passing a 2-story guardhouse, stables, and a dozen thatched roof cottages that house the families of the manor's servants and retainers. The manor itself is a sprawling 3-story structure constructed of light gray mortared stone, surrounded by hedge-lined rose gardens and ancient oak trees.
This would be after the trials?
Yeah, he said after the trial. My fairy's here as a guide. He's a local to the area that we're going off to explore. Interested in providing you guys with like outing and exploratory services. Is very small. He's like a foot tall, and has a wolf with him. Yeah, sort of like that. I'm so tiny that like when it comes down to combat, I actually have to be in somebody's square to make a melee attack on them. I generally am not getting that close to stuff. And I have a wolf that is with me. That is the descendant of the wolf that raised me. I am, as the picture would suggest, quite a bordering on feral. Like I can speak. I know languages and stuff like that. But like eyes would follow food or threats. I get uncomfortable in crowds or confined spaces. That I'm here to offer sort of services off into the wild that are where.
About Gary? What's Gary's story?
Yeah, Gary, you want to introduce your character, how they know you, what they know about you?
I'm Gary. I'm the tough, rugged type of guy. Just basically adventure and do bounties and whatnot to get by, living day to day, not really planning like too far ahead or anything like that, and going with the flow. I'm a front line type of dude, fighter.
It's kind of the strong and silent type, mostly on the ride, or?
A little joking around, but yeah.
And the winged coat on.
Yeah. Probably should change my name so it's not so obvious, but I mean, I guess he's got wings and everything else like that, but he's a hidden past. He's got a lot of anger. He was left on the street. He knows that he's got an angelic heritage, but he also a demonic past. He's just trying to make his way in the world, and he's got a lot of secrets, a lot of pent up rage, and just trying to make his way.
Alrighty, and And Penny, you mentioned you were on a pirate ship. We'll start with you again, though. Like, maybe do you share with your others like what drew you to this? Like, why? What exactly drew you to this adventure?
I've been
Was it the
traveling
land?
for a long time, like the thought of settling down a little bit is kind of appealing after so many adventures around, swinging off of chandeliers and doing flips and all that. A person needs to, find a home and settle down and make your way in the world uh, in a different way. So that's what I'm going to try to figure out.
Baron Flynn, if you will.
Something like that. I like it. Yeah.
So how about Claw? What would bring Claw out of nature to join a quest?
He's hoping to the almost intrusion, as his people would see it, to a fair balance. His like most of the fairies would prefer just like nobody come out here. It's wilderness and we like it that way. Just like he's come from this, like, he was literally raised by a wolf and he acclimated to the fairy society and he sees the benefits of that. So he knows that like civilization's coming and we can't stop it. We might as well try to make an accommodation with it. If I can influence that impact in some way. Like for all I know, you guys are going to be like, look, a forest, let's burn it down so we can find what's in it. I certainly don't want.
Don't want that. Writing. And how about Gary? What drew him to this? What particular adventure?
You said they were like stolen lands, right?
They call it the Stolen Lands. It's just kind of like wild, unclaimed lands that have tried to kind of been settled before, but it's never been very successful.
Okay. Well, probably just looking for, like I said, that wasn't planning too far ahead. Haven't ever. So probably just looking for the next type of payday. And then probably like when it comes to the jobs or bounties or whatever I do day to day to make money, it's probably leaning more towards doing the right thing versus like an easy payday. That makes sense. Righteous.
And how about the dark and brooding Codon?
A way to spend his aggression on something fruitful in helping progress something and stake a claim in something. Being street urchin, he wants to have an actual claim on something that is more than just a corner in some awful place.
And you guys arrive, and when you arrive to the manor, here you see that. Let me close this here. It's getting to be about evening, about 6:45, almost 7 in the evening. As you guys are coming in, a storm is like, you can see like dark clouds are following you and getting closer and closer, and you get to the manor just a little bit ahead of it, but you definitely smell that, the rain and ozone in the air. You can hear distant rumbles of thunder and flashes in the distance as the sky is darkening, both from the evening, but also from the dark cloud coverage.
Kodan doesn't like the rain much. It's going to pull a cloak over him, just in case.
Yeah, I'll pull up my cloak as well, try to cover up a little bit.
Yeah, it's not quite raining yet, but you You guys are led in, out of the wagons. There's some guards and then some, stable hands that come out. And once you guys are out, the stable hands take the horse and wagon off, and you have some servants who welcome you and guide you into the manor, into a large banquet hall.
Oh, there's a lot of people here.
Yeah, the hall is fairly crowded here. This spacious hall has been prepared for a great feast. You see servants hustling and bustling about. Several armed soldiers are around like the doors and perimeters to the halls, going off into other places on the east and west walls. To the north, fire crackles away in a large fireplace. An iron lever secured by a lock adorns the fireplace's eastern face. 2 massive crystal chandeliers hang from the ceiling 20 feet above. The walls are decorated with painted murals, idyllic woodland scenes, nymphs frolicking amid waterfalls, satyrs dancing with fauns in wooded glades, various winged fairy creatures floating through the trees. 9 long tables are arranged around the central portion of the room, each holding plates, utensils, mugs, goblets, and full, ready-to-be-poured pitchers of ale, wine, mead, and water. The smell of roasted meat and other delicious scents fill the room, yet no food has yet been served. Wonder what does Claw think of the artistry on the painted fairies?
I put over it all. Know that guy.
Oh, that looks just like Bob.
Yeah. The artistry is not of whatever. It's tacky maybe. I mean, like if you came to my house and had these giant gargantuan pictures of humans like painted all over my walls, you'd think it would be kind of weird.
Yeah.
Funky, long, weird people. It's all funny.
So as you guys are seated, at the table there there's other guests. Not too long after, a striking elf woman enters the hall, followed by an aristocratic middle-aged human man. The man wears finely tailored clothing fit for a noble, while the woman appears dressed for battle. She wears fine leather coat over sparkling mail shirt, and at her waist hangs an Aldori dueling sword with a bright silver pommel. The two make their way to the head of the table, where they remain standing.
Cool.
Then for the man. And if anybody wants to roll society check, give me 1 second. There's the adventure.
Now, what do we know about these Aldoris?
Or a recall knowledge, I guess, if you target them and they're up here at the top. So one of these two people. So if you wanted to target her, and even if you just hover over and hit T, or if you double right click, it should target. And then on the bottom of the screen, there's like a little macro bar. You should all have at least a few set up for you. One of them looks like a little diamond, gold diamond.
So I'm going to try to do a society check on the woman.
Well, what you want to do? Yeah. What you want to do is you target her, and then click on that little diamond on the bottom on your macro bar. It's a basic action macros. This would be very useful. And towards the end there in alphabetical order, there's one that says recall knowledge. It is say -1. That's fine. And what that do is if you click it once, it's not going to show you anything, but it sends it to me that like what you know about her. Basically rolls a dice and then.
Nice.
Not all of the rolls are secret. It's only ones where you might or might not get. Like, in this case, you might get inaccurate information based on a roll, and knowing the die would let you know how to treat that information. Most of the rolls will be open rolls where, like, you and everybody else get to see them.
Yeah, so it's like for the recall knowledge, it's useful, could be useful in combat as well. When you target something and roll it, it like automatically tells me if you fail or succeed. In a general recall knowledge, it'd show me what your dice roll was and then what all your skills are to match it. So like, and there are secret rolls, like for example, sometimes like perception rolls are going to be secret. That way you're not like, well, I rolled a 3, so I probably just didn't notice or whatever.
Yeah.
So you don't really, and then like you're still rolling it, but it shows it to me.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I get it. Okay, so
Your first roll being secret, I didn't want you to think that, like, you never get to know what any of your rolls are. Most of the rolls in the game are open rolls.
cool.
Okay, so I think only Sean didn't roll. If you don't want to, that's fine. But you pretty much all know that.
Yeah.
All right, so you pretty much all know that this is Lady Jamandi Aldori. And Penny, you recall that she's her dueling sword, because it's something that interests you, trails magical fire when it strikes. And while she used to take jobs as a mercenary, she now focuses on tending the needs to her manor and troops and the duties to Restov.
Sweet. I want a sword like that someday.
And Claw, you know that she's been recently at odds with some of the ruling house of Brevoy. She has a lot of wealth and influence in Restov, but she's kind of clashing with the dragon scale throne to the north. So the man speaks first, and very diplomatic, kind of like voice projects. You can tell he's used to speaking, and he says, "Greetings, heroes. I am Joseph Selamius, Lord Mayor of Restov, and this," he gestures to the woman beside him, "is Lady Jamandi Aldori. We both thank you for answering her call for heroes. You may be few, but we need only the best for this great task." And Lady Jamandi offers the room a broad smile and then says, "South of here, beyond Brevoy's border, lie the stolen lands. This disputed territory has been claimed time and again by would-be settlers, but because the area has been a haven for bandits and monsters, it has never been held for long. Restov intends for this to change." And you guys kind of notice that, like, after, kind of even during him speaking and after, like, his gaze is just kind of like wandering around the room. He's just kind of, seems a bit disinterested. Joseph Selamius. She continues and says, if you have enough courage to drive off the dangerous denizens of the stolen lands, you can seize territory for yourselves and name yourselves baronesses or barons. Restov intends to recognize the legitimacy of the new rulers of this land, and none of the other neighboring realms care enough to challenge you. We are prepared to provide backing as a trade partner and military ally. If you claim the land, you will have indeed all of Restov's support. And she reaches down and picks up her goblet And as she does that, like, servants have been filling your cups with water, wine, or ale, whatever you prefer. And she raises her goblet up and says, "But details of your individual missions and charters into the Stolen Lands can wait. I raise my glass to you, brave heroes. For now, let us eat and enjoy the evening. Tomorrow promises to be a very busy day." And as she finishes speaking and everyone toasts and drinks, servants begin to circle around the room, refilling mugs, and more servants come out with food, heaping platters of food. The feast itself has like 4 courses in all. Green beans, lightly flavored savory oils, spicy seasoned waterfowl, tender roast boar, and a bunch of desserts. And for this dinner, what we're going to do, like I posted in the influence encounter, as you guys look around the room and at your table, there are several characters. There's several people in here, a few that stand out. This gentleman over here. Well, let me see. At your table, I think she's at your table, is a tall, muscular human woman clad in a mix of animal skins and leathers, battle-scarred hide armor, and a massive greatsword. Like this biggest sword you've ever. It's like almost as big as she is. She seems to be a little bit bored. There's a dwarf, middle-aged dwarf with a bald head, long salt and pepper beard. Sitting at the next table, there is...
Joel, you said we recognize some of these people, like as like other type of like adventurers or heroes that we've encountered
Yeah, you
before.
might have seen them at like in the city of the training.
Reputation.
Yeah, you see, kind of across from you guys is a lady who is like deathly pale, wears dark clothing, her raven black hair is long, pretty plain, no jewelry, and next to the table is this massive, wickedly sharp looking scythe, and sitting next to her is a impeccably dressed halfling. I think he's halfling. Gnome in what looks to be more like stately garb. Looks more like a little gnome prince than an adventurer, but he's been kind of like, you hear him when talking to the lady with the scythe and just kind of like sneering at other adventurers and just kind of, like that guy doesn't stand a chance type of stuff. She seems to like acknowledge him but not really join in on that conversation. You see across the room a raggedly handsome man with a 5 o'clock shadow beard on his jaw, wearing dark gray hair and a small bun, carries a distinctive sword that you guys notice, and seems a little bit out of place. I can't from this window show you this thing. There's a little small halfling that's sitting next to you, Gary. I think I'll put her over here next to Gary, and she's just like chatting you up the whole time. Very young. She's leather armor. She keeps a large like leather-bound book in front of her at all times. Every once in a while, she'll kind of look into it, and then sometimes she's like sketching something or taking notes during things. And she asks you like it's like a child every kind of question. So like, where are you from? What's that like?
Casually
very perky,
engaged.
chatty. Yeah.
Well, probably eyeballing the room.
And the last thing you notice is like over across here in this table here, you see this man who's seems to be fairly dressed for an adventure, and all around him are basically soldiers. They are appearing in like all their full armor, face plates and all, like just very stoic. they're kind of off
Okay.
by themselves.
Okay, good. Too much metal. Oil.
Yeah, a ton of metal. And you hear the gnome here who's been scouting kind of mention them, and you hear the name Hannes, and he says, "Oh, him and his the Iron Wraiths. What a joke! Like they so pompous and so." It's all just an act, they just put on this act. They're not that tough.
Is that the thing we already did?
But yeah, tomorrow, you guys are eating. So of those characters, if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves for a minute, I got to go get my dog and let him outside. We think he tore his ACL. So he can't jump up and down on the bed and can't run around as much. So I got to take him outside on a leash real quick. But if you guys decide which characters, but basically what we're gonna do, and I don't know if Sean you're familiar, if you read through that, this would be during this dinner will be basically 6 rounds of, we'll go into initiative order for you guys, and you guys can talk to different people if you want to, but it'll go through. While it's initiative, it's not really I don't need to put him in there. You guys can say, I want to talk to the gnome, for example, and then on your turn, you can do one thing. You can either try to influence them or try to detect. Oh, influence or discover. So discover, you can choose perception, notice things about him, or society, or some kind of lore if you know about those things. And depending on the person, I can tell you what those discover ones are, and that would tell you stuff about that NPC and what might help or hurt you if you want to try to influence them. And then if you try to influence them, you basically say I'm going to talk to him about this, and then you would roll a persuasion check or a performance check if you wanted to impress them, or something along those lines. Basically match up the skill with it and do a check for that, and then that will, if you pass or fail, raise or lower the influence. And you can gain information from them, but also people who you raise influence for, when you see them next time, or they can become friendly, offer you help. They can become enemies and try to hinder you because they don't like you, or if you make them mad, or they'll refuse help if you need it because you pissed them off, type of thing. But it's also a good way just to find out about them and maybe some information.
So guys, the way my character works, I guess, is that I do this thing fascinating performance, where I can kind of perform I'm trying to see how this works. I can try to fascinate somebody. I don't know exactly what I can do with that, but it might be helpful to do that, to get people. Well, there's risk to it, I guess.
Yeah, it seems like that could play a role here for some people we want to maybe make allies in this group.
If we want to make some allies, we could do some straight up diplomacy with them.
Mm-hmm. So
Right.
do we roll for initiative first?
Yeah,
To
so
see
go ahead and
who-
roll for initiative.
It would be perception under initiative, under attributes.
If you
Yeah,
to
if you
the top right of your screen, you should see your character icon with a die on it. Click on the
Yeah.
die and
So-
roll your initiative.
So in this situation, I'm curious. The initiative here, because we're in a social situation, is it still initiative based on perception,
No,
or do we
take
do
a second.
initiative based on something like society? Or I'm curious why they give us the option of changing the initiative here.
Well, so like a rogue, if you're doing avoid notice, you can roll stealth. There are some situations, I think mostly for traps and stuff like that, where it could be different.
Okay.
The default's going to be perception for initiative.
Okay. I think it was this one. Who is the person that was sitting across? I think it was the sword person. So, how do I select Amiri?
Amiri? Yeah, I can select her. The tall, muscular, wild-looking woman.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you can choose on your turn. Like, do you want to discover something about her, or do you want to just try and influence her in some way?
I would like to discover what maybe might drive her. What maybe just listen and see what. Yeah, I want to discover.
Sure, and if you pass the discovery, you can ask like what are her what skills influence her the most.
Yeah, that sounds
and then
good.
also,
I like that.
Resistances and weaknesses, like things that she hates as well. So you could do like for discovery, you can do like perception, society, or warfare lore if you have that. Just tell me which one. I could put it in the chat.
So you said I could do society. Is diplomacy one of those I can do?
No, society. Well,
Society sounds like diplomacy. That's what I was wondering.
yeah.
So you said society,
Perception.
Perception. Oh, it's over here. Okay, perception. Why did they not put it over on this one? Okay, so warfare. And what's the other one?
Warfare would be a lore skill. It would say lore warfare.
Yep, I see one city on mine. Okay, so perception, society, warfare. Were those the only three?
Yeah. If you want to pick another one, you can try and do that. But
Well,
those
that's
are
what I was asking, is
by default,
diplomacy.
there's perception and society are always going to be there, like to see if you can tell what will impress her or what you think would impress her, and then like some kind of lore. Usually, like she's obviously like a fighter of some type.
So you're
And
trying to pick
as
something
far as,
that
like,
matches.
so
You're trying to pick
let
something
me-
that matches her.
Yeah.
So let me clarify what I'm looking for. I'm thinking she might be a good ally. So
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what might make a
impression.
influence her to be an ally. So I was thinking maybe diplomacy, because I'm looking for something that might influence her to convince her to be an ally.
Diplomacy would more be like to actually influence.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to do for stage 2. Okay, so for stage 1, yeah, I guess I'll just do straight up perception then. So
Go ahead and click that in the chat there. Alrighty, so you basically try to like, she's not really engaging with a lot of people right now, and she catches your eye looking at her, and she's like, mouth full of food. Just what? Gravy running down her chin. Kind of. Basically, it didn't pass, so you don't really know.
okay.
Alrighty, and then for Gary, was there?
You can talk to Lindsay. That's the one that had the book chatting me up, right?
Yeah.
Probably ask her about her book and like if she came with a group here and what brought her here and whatnot.
Alrighty, so what skill would you want to use? Like that could probably be diplomacy, like showing interest in her and asking her questions. Maybe a bit of performance.
I think diplomacy because I'm better at it.
All right.
Do I have to target her or anything, or just roll at the? Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
just go ahead and click that in the chat there. Alrighty, yeah, she lights up about that, and kind of tells you that she hopes to chronicle heroic deeds and the heroic establishment of a new nation. She's spent a fair amount of time in Pitax, but left after the king of Pitax was basically oppressing and persecuting the arts. So she's been traveling, and she heard of this and wanted to kind of chronicle this new adventure.
Okay. Compliment her on her feet.
On her feet.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. She seems to be, like the fact that you took interest. Claw.
I guess I'm also gonna try to friends with a maybe like the similar. She looks like a barbarian or something like that, like somebody a ranger or whatever. I don't have warfare, or I'd ask her about her word. Survival, maybe? Would that be something that the Miri person with the big sword would be interested in talking about? Like outdoor survival skills and stuff like that.
Do you want to do like a perception or a society to get that answer, or do you want to just?
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, I will do a perception to see if that is. Yeah, that's perception. You want to use the same one, or put a bit?
Yeah. Let me pull up her character sheet again. Or you're doing Amari. Where'd I put her? Amiri. There we go. It's on her character. It's on this.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so do you want to know like her like something that will influence her positively or negatively?
Positively. Like of the people here, the one I'd be most naturally inclined to associate with. Their picture.
Sure. You tend to notice that she looks when she, when she's noticing other characters and stuff, like when she looks towards Gary, she seems to be more kind of like appraising, like, okay, I can work with this or something. But like Lindsay and like others, like Tartucci, like smaller creatures, she kind of like wrinkles her nose at them.
Gotcha. She would probably not be particularly impressed by me and my weenus.
Your wee little self, yeah.
Yeah, that didn't come out, but yeah.
Yeah.
You think tends to like she tends to
strength.
More, yeah, like strength, in which she obviously associates size with that quite a bit.
Gotcha. Try to get Gary's attention and give him like the eye towards her, like he should chat her up.
Sure.
And then my turn.
How about Penny?
So I'm kind of looking at Valerie. She looks like she's the kind of a knight character. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pull her up.
So I'm gonna do a little. I want to do a little. I guess influencing to talk a little bit about like her station in society, sort of a social check about society, and like what is it that's driving her to, you know, like, obviously she looks like she's got some, knightly blood. What's that all about? I guess that might be discovery.
Yeah, she's a
wouldn't it?
tall, exceptionally beautiful woman with striking blue eyes and a warrior's physique. Pretty good armor. And so, did you want to just strike up, conversate, like try to influence her, or did you
she would just
go for
she
it?
would just start talking. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
what skill did you want to use for that?
I just think I would talk society with her. Do I just hit the button? I don't want to hit anything too
Yeah,
soon.
if you click on in the chat, so like I can on the sheets, I can click
Yep,
on
I
that
see
one
what you did.
because that it's built in to where it has the DC set, so it rolls and then tells me. It's easier just to streamline it that way.
Ugh, God. Yeah.
That one didn't put it as a secret, did it? So yeah, you kind of go up to her and start speaking of something, and she just kind of like seems to be completely bored with the conversation. Just like it's kind of like looking
Can
around.
I just like fall over like as if like I'm like baffled by her, like her beauty,
Wait.
like.
Use hero points in.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is a good point to bring up where what hero points are used for. If you wanted to re-roll using a hero point, you can do so.
Yeah, I'll try
Basically,
that.
like
I mean, I've got a hero.
like inspiration. Everybody starts
Yeah.
every session with one.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, there we go.
Alrighty.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I
like,
get over it.
at first, yeah, you kind of bumble a little bit, but then you spit out, some nice things that seems to. At first, when you approach, she seems to be like, "Oh, great," but she's kind of opening up to you. What is it you asked her, or what is it that you talk about?
I would say, like I noticed your armor seems to be quite a fine make. Like, what's your, are you a noble that you would go out there and create your own barony? It looks like you already come from it. That's a bold move.
You can kind of tell she's like, it was made by my former order. It is quite, it is a good quality. She's like polite, but just also a little bit guarded still, but seeming to relax to you. Like it seemed to have like lowered her defenses a little bit, but she seems like a tough nut to really get to pull information out of her.
Is she like a paladin kind of character, or what would you call it in this game? Paladin?
Like champion.
Champion, sorry.
Yeah, she seems to be like, along those lines, like wanting, at least the way she holds herself and everything.
Okay.
Alrighty, Kodon.
Cool.
So, last round, I tried to, gather some information, and she caught my eye. And
Is it Mary?
this time, I'm like, I'm going to respond. Oh, very direct. I like that, and I want to be a little more direct back and say, we should team up, ally. So I want to do a diplomacy and just be very direct because she seemed very direct back.
Oh, you know what? That was the wrong character, but let me just see what you rolled in.
That was the wrong character?
Yeah, I keep closing the window. That was for Valerie's diplomacy check. For Mary, what was the number? Oh, so she seems to definitely appreciate your. She definitely seems to appreciate your bluntness.
She seemed like that.
Yeah. Kind of gives you another second appraising look after, talking with your mouth full of food. And and then Lindsay was the other one that we did. Trying to track these. Alrighty. And she kind of opens up to you and she's like, I don't know. Looks like your group is fairly full, but it does look like you can use some more muscle. And she's kind of like eyeing Claw a little bit. She's like, then kind of glances over at the gnome across the table, and she's like, I guess you're better than some other options around here.
Indeed.
Maybe. All right, Gary. You still chatting up Lindsay?
I'll let her keep talking in my ear if I want, but I'm gonna say to Amiri, the big sword lady, that her sword looks about two sizes too big for her. I got a short sword for you if you want.
You trying to like intimidation or something?
Yeah, but in not in an aggressive way. Kind of like showing that we're a tough crew too. But yeah, like a little intimidating. Bravado. Thank you, Sean.
Gizmo.
So what role would you think that you would want to roll for that?
I think intimidation. Or performance, but I'm better at intimidation, so yeah.
She just kind of scoffs at you, and she's like, short sword. She's like, you probably wouldn't even be able to handle this sword.
No, I'm hero point, baby.
Kind of steps back and swings it around, like showing off a little bit.
Can I use a hero point?
Yeah.
Reroll.
Always use a hero point. Oh, nice.
Oh yes, I got a big dick.
Gary's feeling strong.
So she does that, and when you say that, she kind of like it finds that hilarious. And then she's like, I've never heard a man brag about his short sword before. Maybe sometime I'll show you how to handle a real sword. But she seems to like definitely like, yeah, she definitely seemed to warm up to your ribbing. Alrighty, Claw.
Try to eyeball somebody else. Start moving up the list. Who's that Magar Varn guy?
Magar,
I always see it back.
Yeah, he's the dwarf. He's kind of like a middle-aged dwarf.
Okay, two down from him.
Two down. Oh, okay, the fancy looking. Oh, I'm sorry, that was him. Magar Varn. The human. So yeah, he's like ruggedly handsome. Like looks like he spends a lot of time on product, or a lot of money on product. It's got a dark gray hair, in a small bun. Carries as you are looking at him, and carries a distinctive sword. That you notice has the crest, like with 4 hatchets arranged in a circle on the pommel guard.
Okay. You said for a discovery, you said there's pretty much always perception. society
Yeah.
thing. Are there any other things that I can think of that would do a good discover on this guy?
Yeah, society perception. This one has occultism.
I will stick with the perception, if you will. Do I find out about this guy by giving him the eye from the table where I'm eating? I'll watch his actions, see who he talks to, maybe, and try to suss out his deal.
Alrighty. You think that like looking at him, he's definitely some sort of, you know, like not royalty, but he definitely comes from wealth. But not like someone who is like super important. Like you can tell like the people around him aren't showing him a lot of deference. But you think that like something that would influence him well would be either like brevoy lore or like even historical topics.
Brevoy?
Yeah.
Or what was the second topic?
Maybe heraldry lore, or the other thing was
Heraldry or
like
history.
yeah, history.
That's
Something to do with like high society.
I know what the I'm
Yeah.
telling you stupid words are dumb. I will try to like pass that kind of information on to the party if anybody happens to have those sort of skills. Again, I am very much a fish out of water in a high society scenario.
Sure. Is anyone like good with like I know that even you rolled really well, but I don't know your character, are they good with like different lores, brevoy lore? Let me look at your skill.
So yeah, I'm looking at my
Circus.
skill. What I can't figure out is this lore thing that you're talking about. Like I found diplomacy, but like,
yeah, you have like
something.
it's under your skills, the little hand. You have circus lore. I think it comes probably
Circus
from your
lore, yeah.
background or something. But you
Yep. Mhm.
are fairly good with society.
Yep, that I am.
I don't know if it helped you. I think you just got a really good roll about the other one last time.
Yeah, well, I used that hero point, so yeah, I kind of feel like I'm out of that a little bit. Would it be okay if I like? I mean, I can do whatever I want, I suppose. I feel like I want to ask the lady of the manor a little bit. Talk about her sword and get a little bit of the history. And as I approach, I want to discover on her to try to figure out like, okay, how do I finagle myself into getting some more information about where each of these groups are going and like what the plan is, what her goal is.
And this is for Valerie.
Yeah, Valerie.
You're still talking to?
Yeah.
You said that-
No, Lady.
Manji,
Oh,
Dory Sword Lord.
Yeah. So I was thinking about striding up to her. I have her.
You don't have on the carousel.
yeah, I can put her on there. Lady.
I mean, nobody's talking to her, and I don't see why not start with the top, you know? I was thinking if I go up to her and I discover and I use social, I can kind of get an idea of what the approach is to try to say what's the best tactic for me to have a conversation with her about, like, you know, what are some of the goals that you want to get done out there? Like, what's going to put us in your good graces?
Sure, you want to roll like with a diplomacy or?
Well, I was starting with society to figure out like what the best approach is.
Oh, what the best approach would be?
Yeah, like that's my discovery thing. Is like, okay, as I'm sizing her up, like, do I talk to her casual? Do I talk to her like a warrior? Do I talk to her like she's a lady? Like, what's the best thing she's gonna like identify that with?
Sure, go ahead and click on that for me.
DC 22. Do I do a blind GM mode roll?
Yeah, if it comes up and it prompts you for blind, choose or that drop down here.
All right, and I'm just gonna. Can I move? Yeah, I can.
No worries. Yeah, like we'll just say you guys are free to move around, but we don't have to always put our tokens on this for now. So,
Okay.
as like you got that before, knowing that she was like, she's wealthy and influential now, but she's also recognized as one of Restov's greatest warriors. So she's quite accomplished this dueling sword that she has earned. Like she's quite the swordswoman, and you know, her past jobs as mercenary, like she's no stranger to like, you know, to that adventuring life or whatnot, but she's now kind of studying. That's kind of caused her to bang heads with people. So something, if you know, like the good things to influence her would be anything with like swordsmanship, or either talking about swords, or, you know, maybe demonstrating me, like, you know, I noticed your sword, and, you know, like I'd learned this new move or something. I don't know, something along those lines would be useful to impress her.
Then I would probably ask her. I understand your sword is fiery. What techniques do you use to sort of, not harm yourself when you're fighting with a flaming sword? Yeah.
All right. Yeah. On your next turn, because this turn you're like doing the discover, right?
The size up. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be your action. So you would know like the sword stuff. All right, Kodan.
That's good.
We are on round 3 of 6.
So now that I've got Jamandi at least speak. No, that's not who I was lined up with.
No, you were Amiri, right?
Yes. Now that I got Amiri at least speaking with me, and seems at least on speaking terms, can I get her at least talking about more about her and the skills she brings, and maybe a bit more about her intentions and what brought her to the event?
Yeah, so you want to ask her about that with like diplomacy, or?
Sure.
Put that in the chat.
Not great. I'm going to use a hero point too.
Righty.
So that was garbage. That's better. That's much better.
Alrighty, so take a look. Oh yeah, so what is it you ask her about, like where she comes from or what she offers?
Yeah, well, yeah, what she's offering, because basically I was asking to ally with her, and so what she brings to the group with her skills, and then kind of what brought her to the event.
She tells you that, like, you know, she kind of like gestures to her sword, and she's like, well, I'll tell you how I got, I got this off of a giant who had been messing with our town, our clan. So they picked me because I was obviously the best warrior. They sent me out, and I did what needed to be done, and I brought this back to my clan. They were just too intimidated that I was a woman, so I decided that I didn't need them, and I left to seek other things.
Well, I think you'll make a
take down giants if that helps.
Yeah.
Have you taken down any giants?
I have not. I think you'll make a fine ally.
Alrighty. And Gary, you guys can tell that, like, you're with Amiri. She's very warming up to you. Like, you guys have, between you and Gary, Gary a little more so because he got a critical success, but he, she seems to be, at least with the two of you so far, like, like you guys aren't the worst.
Yeah, and she probably doesn't want like too much attention. I'm kind of sensing that Codon's chatting her up, so I'll probably maybe engage. I think it was Lindsay. Yeah, Lindsay. Some more. Maybe ask her about her book and like if she has any other skills or interests other than, I think you said art.
Yeah, she's told you that's why she left P-Taxes, because she was growing frustrated with the persecution of and oppression of the arts. She's more interested in chronicling, but she dabbles in art and stuff and appreciates art. So you want to talk to her about
chronicling? So she's here to be like a journalist type person, or like what brings her to this table?
Give me like with the art thing. Asking her about that, showing interest in art. Give me a
performance.
Yeah. So yeah, she seems delighted that you're interested in her, in art. She's just like, oh, like, are you into art? Like, so into art. Have you been to this gallery, in Brevoy, and like asking you questions about like what kind of art do you like, but she definitely seems very very thrilled with that, and was also like, do you guys need someone to come and chronicle your heroic deeds and tell your tales?
Okay. I'll just nod along.
Yeah. Well. So yeah, Claw is up. If they want.
Yeah, I haven't had a good matchup on skills with anybody yet. So, Hannes Drevlev. Yeah, is that the guy that was surrounded by birds?
By the people in metal armor. They're.
Did anything jump out on him for a discover other than perception or society?
You can do so. Yeah, like perception or society is always available. I'm looking.
Right.
Nature wouldn't be, like, maybe any kind of lore with like warfare or weapons or something like that.
I don't have weapons or lore. I have caverns. I guess I'll do a perception on him, try to figure out what we could then use to influence him in something. His interest, good or whatever. Discover. Again, giving him the eye. Those knights or whatever they are in particular, the hefty odor coming from them.
You said either one of them? We'll just go with perception.
Por favor. Secret roll. I hope I made it. Maybe not, because it's pretty high.
Yeah, so, you think that he seems to be, like, you see him, he's quite sullen and not really engaging like him, and the other people around him, the armored guys are kind of keeping to themselves. But you see that, like, you can tell that he doesn't come from, like, wealth, but, like, the way he's trying to hold himself, or in the clothing that he wears while it's adventuring gear, tends to, like, he's trying to give off that impression that he does, that he's trying to kind of, like, raise his, like elevate his standing, like seem like he's higher than he is. His standing is higher than it is. So something like diplomacy
gotcha.
or society or something like that, kind of, maybe acknowledging him as like with respect or something would probably influence him well.
Lord.
Alrighty.
Alrighty.
Penny,
Thanks.
All right. So
you were talking
I'm
with
walking
Valerie, I
up
think.
to.
Oh no, you were
Yep,
talking
I'm
to a
walking
lady.
up to the lady, Lady Jamandi, and so I kind of introduce myself and say, I'm very excited to get out there tomorrow or to figure out where to go. I noticed, though, on a different subject, that talk about her sword and about like what fighting techniques she uses, what masters she studied with. Kind of curious about that. And I guess it would be a diplomacy check.
Yeah,
perhaps?
diplomacy
Yeah.
with the better swords.
Yeah.
Here you go. Just so you guys know, like on these types of rolls, a lot of times, like if you're talking about a specific thing or something, that would could lower the DC or whatever, right? So like, he was, Penny was like noticing that sword and is kind of using that in. So like in the future, those kind of things, like talking about those kind of hints in those ways can lower the DC than what it would normally be if you were talking about something else. Like if you were just going to go up there and diplomacy about like something else, it would have maybe been higher.
Yeah.
But
Give me a map and tell me where to go. Yeah. That would be.
so yeah, she kind of seems wary at first, but pleasant. And then when you start talking about like swords and techniques and stuff, and she opens up quite a bit to you and seems to enjoy talking about that subject. She still keeps like she enjoys. You can tell she enjoys it, but is also at just like a very diplomatic, like talking to somebody. You could tell she's like acknowledging she's talking to somebody below her station a little bit, but still being polite about it. But you can tell like she wants to talk about like open up more about the sword stuff and technique, but station is kind of like limiting that.
Yeah. I guess I would close with, if I could, if it's possible for me to impress you with my work out there in the field, maybe, you could give me some pointers on how to, how you fight with that. I would be really interested in learning that technique. Not so much buttering her up, but just more like interested.
Yeah. So yeah, she's like, well, I look forward to, to that if you have success. Perhaps we can.
And I would say, just as an aside, are we all competing against each other, or are we, are we going out there sort of as a group?
No, each of she's like, I'll talk more details about it, but basically she lets you know that tomorrow, I have, areas and quests and specific goals for each group.
Oh, okay. Cool. And I'll say, well,
So
it
at
was
some
a pleasure
point
to speak
you
with
might be in competition, but at first you're going to basically be going off in different directions.
Got it. I'll kind of file that away, and when I get back to the group, I'll share that with everybody so that they know kind of what we're dealing with here. I think that's it. I think that's all I've got for her.
And then Kodon.
So at this point, I think I've established a good enough relationship with Amari.
Yeah, you guys have impressed her quite a bit.
So I don't know if there's anything else we need to do to solidify that relationship. I mean, at this point, I think when we go out, Amari would be joining us? Is that where we're at with this relationship? If not, is there anything else anything else I would need to do to solidify that kinship?
I mean, you could still, you still do have room to influence a little more if you
Okay.
wanted to, but
Sure, I'll do
she
some more
seems to
influence.
she definitely seems to be open to joining up with you. She seems a little wary to 100% commit, but she's like, yeah, I think that probably would be a good fit. We can work together.
Well, so I'll continue doing the diplomacy. I'll talk about our group and what we're planning on doing and the benefits we bring, and that having a larger group in numbers benefits us all, and gotta have people to build up a kingdom.
Weird.
Yeah. So you wanted to do what skill?
Diplomacy?
Diplomacy, okay.
Critical!
Nice.
If that didn't solidify it, I don't know what's going to.
Yeah, so she, you talk to her, kind of, say, well, like, basically, emphasis on, like, her strength and her, and the strength of you and Gary, you'll be pretty much unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
And she definitely buys into that and is willing to join you on your journey.
Cool,
in your
cool.
group. Alrighty, Gary.
Okay, who haven't we talked to here? Because Lindsay is boring me. What about Jathal?
So yeah, she's the one that is kind of sitting, very pale skin, dark hair, has the giant scythe. The little gnome has been, the little gnome that's dressed all fancy has been talking to her a bit. They seem to be kind of together, not in like the dating sense, but like,
The little gnome is in Lindsay?
No, the gnome that is I'll show you this guy.
Oh, okay.
He's the one that was across the table and he was kind of like making snide remarks about the other people.
Oh, yeah. And then she was kind of just like being quiet and silent.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll maybe engage with her. I'm trying to think like how. Or actually, I'll talk to the gnome, and I'll kind of play off the look at all these ragdolls here. There's a bunch of jokes here. I'll play off of kind of what he was talking about before about how everybody here is kind of weak.
Alrighty, and like would like a deception or diplomacy or
Yeah, I guess kind of a deception. Yeah, that would probably be the most fitting. Okay.
Why does all of that guy's picture look just fine, except his hand looks like it was drawn by an AI with a crayon?
which guy? The
Verduccio.
right? Yeah, I don't
His
know.
head looks okay, his feet look
think he has
okay.
To me,
But
it
then,
looks like he
his
has a
hand
glove
is all
on for some
goopy.
reason. Yeah.
It's like a dog foot or something.
Yeah, or like it's a paw or something. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe it's in a glove. That's what I would assume, but he's just kind of like basically turns that on you, like, yeah, no kidding, and just kind of gives you turns to Jathal and kind of like gives her a look and rolls his eyes. Claw.
Are we trying to like recruit a bunch of people, or how many people are we gonna have with us, and how do those people, if they're with us?
The game is called Kingmaker. I assume we're trying to build up a kingdom, so
Yeah, you're getting
I mean, like, say,
influence. It's not necessarily that they'll be controllable characters. They might travel with you or whatever. They could be someone like if we had a character death for some reason that you say, hey, I'll take over this person because that Amiri seems cool. She seems like a strong frontliner, and that's what we need because my frontliner died. She'll take over or whatever, but you don't have to if you didn't want to. But they also will they'll be in the story later, basically.
Gotcha. Okay. Not actually like recruiting like hireling type adventure.
Correct. Just trying to make influence, and while the dinner's going on, you're talking with people. And
check my notes for what is. But I'm gonna go back to the.
And if this is something you're just like, I don't really think your character would be interested in any of them or whatever, we could just fast forward that a bit and.
Yeah, like the character's definitely like Amiri was initially was kind of the character would be a not society knowledgeable person would know how to also is like eating with his hands and feeding his wolf and stuff like that. Like he definitely does not belong here and doesn't have knowledge topics in common with these. I could just.
Yeah, I mean, there's no one really super naturey, for sure.
Yeah, Miri was the closest, and we got her nailed down. Also, she didn't like that I was little.
Yeah. So you just kind of want to skip on that turn, okay?
Yeah, I'll keep watching everybody. Like I said, pocketing some extra food, feeding my wolf.
Sure. Penny.
Keep an eye out for threats.
Yeah, I'm gonna look around the room. I want to do. I want to try to take a look and see if I see any NPC conflicts. What I'm looking for is maybe somebody who's pathologically picking pockets, or I'm trying to get the lay of the land. If there's conflicts between NPCs that I'm seeing as I look around the room.
Just want to give me a general perception check to see on that kind of.
Sure. I feel good about that.
It's up to click.
You don't see any conflict. I would say you see this guy is obviously looking down on everyone and being obvious about it, not really hiding it. No pickpocketing or physical disagreements coming on. It's not really that kind of mood in the room either, though. They're not really, it's not really necessarily as much of a competition as it is you're all been invited, so.
Okay.
He's the most obvious, oh, these people aren't worthy of this. I'm the only one here with any skill.
Got it. Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, that was what I was looking to see if later on I could put it in my notebook and come back to it later. And sow some chaos if there's some people who have bad blood and are competing against each other. But
this is the top of the round. What I'll say is I do need to go because I do need to jump on this call.
okay.
But for next time, we'd be able to do another two rounds, I think, if we wanted to. But if you guys are okay, I think we've got enough of what we wanted out of this, schmoozing during dinner or whatever, we can go ahead and wrap up on the dinner and get into the next part. So maybe think about it. Let me know. This is a new thing to me too. So finding the influences stuff was a little slow. So I apologize about that, but it does kind of come into play down. Some of the people that you interact with, even if it doesn't come into play now, might come into play later.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks, man. That was fun. Have a good
course.
night.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
Cool.
have a good night.
All right,
You too.
guys.
Good night.